No gimmicks, straight speaker reviews. Alan Ross Reviews channel. We get into it. We don't mess about. No comedy, no laughs. We just want to know, is this the best speaker or not? JBL Charge 5. You have been asking me about the PN7 and the PL7. What do you mean the PN7? Oh, I'm glad you asked me. Well, that's the PN7 and that's the PL7. Please have the same amplifiers. So, what's the full name? It's the LG Xboom Go PL7, the LG Xboom Go PN7. I don't know how they come up with these naming schemes. All these Chinese speakers seem to have weird names. Yes, clue. I've already given you all made in China, even JBL. But as you see, both rated at 30 watts, probably the same amp. But as you know, or I hope you know if you've watched my channel enough, same amp, but you increase the size of the drivers, it will go louder. So they've taken advantage of that. They're giving you the option. You can have a compact size speaker or you can have a larger speaker. It's the same amp, the same guts, but it will go louder anyway. This is a speaker I think has got under the radar because I quite like the PN7. Yes, it's not got the deepest bass. In fact, there's nothing you could say is the best about it, but overall, I think it's quite a nice package. It's a pleasant enough sounding speaker. A few people, not just one, not just two, a few people. Yes, I really get that many people on my channel. Been asking, don't know suddenly why, JBL Charge 5 against the PN7 and the PL7. Have reviewed this in the past. Did quite like it. It's not the it's not the biggest for bass extension. In fact, it's not the best for any one thing, but overall I think it's quite a nice package. We took the mickey out of it because the handle seems to be the wrong way around. You hold it like that, you put it, you can't put it down like that because all the controls are there. So when you put it down, it's meant to be like that. Why are they meant to be like that? Because they think it's a really clever way of angling it up. I think personally, if they had the handle ratcheted, of course that would cost more money. It's made in China. It's not about, it is about the cost-effective way of producing it. So obviously molded like that is the most cost-effective way. But it's kind of frustrating because I could see how that could have been a nice idea. Have it that way and it's angled up. But if it was ratcheted and then I could hold it the right way up, we wouldn't be messing about. And then we get what seems to be the same guts, the PL7, very compact form, but yeah, I know we're not that keen on exposed passive radiators like that. There seems to be an accident waiting to happen. Both of these speakers are pretty nice, but they don't excel over and above other speakers in any particular area. So you may be thinking, well, what is the point? Well, it's a safe bet. Well, look, let's look at the price. It's about 90 quid for the PL7. In today's terms, that's good value. 90 quid because we're still looking at 160 quid. 160 pound for the JBL Charge 5, 40 quid of which you're paying for the logo. You turn it to the side, it glows red. That's fantastic. In fact, just sell the logos. We'll pay 40 quid just for the logos, wouldn't we? No, of course we wouldn't. But hey ho, 160 quid, 90 quid. Explain the difference there. Well, we're going to find out in this video. And then we look at, it does come in various deals. At the moment, it seemed to be 139. I've certainly seen it for about 120. And that's, it's a pleasant speaker. That offers quite a bit. What do you mean it offers quite a bit? What does it offer you? It offers you 3 different modes. We're used to the sound boost mode and the standard mode, and we know sound boost mode is about reducing some of the bass, increasing some of the highs, but we also get DTS mode on the PN7. That's a real mode. So that, DTS is a real thing. That is audio processing. In fact, if I read the GAMF that they will say what they're trying to achieve, it says providing a wider, and this is not from LG, by the way, this is from DTS themselves, providing a wider and deeper soundstage from stereo speakers placed in a single enclosure. And that's the point. It's designed for speakers like that, in a single enclosure, but they are stereo. So we can't name it in the JBL because it's a mono speaker. Yes, we've got a woofer and a tweeter, but that don't make it stereo. But that is a stereo speaker, woofers and passive radiators. Other features include a new limiter, so that's interesting, a new limiter for distortion-free listening. Don't forget, this is all real-time processing. bass enhancement technology for warm bass tones, maybe, and dialogue enhancement. And that's something else to know. So there's a lot of processing going on, none of which is about reproducing the original track. We know there's a lot of people out there. So you keep calling me an audiophile. I am not an audiophile. So I'm not a snob when it comes to speakers. A lot of you have already discovered I can handle a lot of distortion on a speaker. Distortion does not have to be a deal breaker. Anybody who likes tube amps, you love it because there's a lot of distortion. You don't realise it's distortion. Distortion does not have to be a deal breaker. For some people, so-called audiophiles, they there's distortion, I'm out of here. No, well, I'm not like that. I'm not an audiophile. I just like my speakers. I like music. But hey-ho, it doesn't have to be precisely, and that's the other thing. Well, I'm an audiophile because I like it to reproduce the original recording, whatever that means. If it ever gets explained, look, it's a long-winded subject, but the minute you record something, it's not natural, is it? If I record myself singing, it doesn't sound like me singing. It's enhanced me singing. It's amplified. It's electronic. It's mixed. It's after the mixing. It's mastered. There is no point in the original process, which it's actually the original thing that you're listening to. So don't get me started. Or you got me started. Well, you didn't get me started. I'd already started. But I digress. So the point of this video is comparing speakers. So I want to get back to comparing speakers. What was I talking about? What was I doing? So I'm going to split it into JBL Charge 5 versus PL7 and JBL Charge 5 versus the PN7, because we've got 2 modes on the PL7, 3 modes on the PN7, but just 1 mode on the JBL Charge 5, the most expensive speaker on this table. The JBL Charge 5 versus the compact PL7.
Hey Ross, sauce it up. I can't blame anybody for their views, cause mine are wrong. Why can't everybody get along? Pass around a blunt and sing this song, and who cares? Yeah. Hey you, you don't really know me like that. Yeah, we might have talked, but just to chat. You don't know the thoughts under my hat. Yeah. Hey me, I don't think I like what we've become. Yeah, I like to smoke while sipping rum, and maybe I refuse to fall in love. Everyone is lost, it's a depressing generation. I might shoot the minister and take over the nation. Everything is off, the world's deprived of its vibration, but oh well. My life feels like a race and I can jump over these hurdles. When thoughts about my ex enter my mind, my blood it curdles. These kids are feeling sad, they're popping pills for serotonin. Bullshit, it's my bad, I blame myself while I'm alone. I can't blame anybody for their views, cause mine are wrong. Why can't everybody get along? Pass around a blunt and sing this song, and who cares if hey you don't really know me like that. Yeah, we might have talked, but just to chat. You don't know the thoughts under my hat. Yeah. Hey me, I don't think I like what we've become. Yeah, I like to smoke while sipping rum, and maybe I refuse to fall in love.
Smoking pink kush, sipping white wine. Yeah, it's a me, girl, you are so fine. Yeah, it's a me, girl, you are everything. Yeah, you and me, girl, I'm thinking about a wedding ring. Smoking back at all, needing lots of dough. Cop a Jesus piece, threw it around my hoe. Now my mind state is so flaky. All of her friends, I think they hate me. I don't blame them, I hate me too. Oh, better days playing PS2. Oh, now my memories are fading. Yeah, this summer I'm waiting.
Hey you don't really know me like that. Yeah, we might have talked, but just to chat. You don't know the thoughts under my hat. Yeah. Hey me, I don't think I like what we've become. Yeah, I like to smoke while sipping rum, and maybe I refuse to fall in love.
actually, you know, they are quite similar. The JBL Charge 5, the LG PL7, although as I hold it in my hand, that's a lot lighter. That's actually 980 grams. That's 1,450 grams. That's actually like 50% heavier than the JBL Charge 5. In the hand, that's obvious and significant. In terms of what you hear, it's quite close. JBL Charge 5, it is more dominant in the mids, and it does have a bit more in the bass depth. But overall, the sound signatures are quite similar. Having said that, there is a very prominent 9 kilohertz peak on the PL7, and while I can only assume they've tuned it that way to give it a bit more air, to me it makes it sound a bit more electronic. So I don't think it helps it. I would say that makes it sound a bit more electronic compared to maybe slightly cleaner sounding JBL Charge 5. However, there is a difference here. This is a mono sounding speaker. We have a woofer and a tweeter. That's called mono, but we've got 2 woofers. That's called stereo. And I think it's, you know, on tracks where stereo is particularly prominent, it's quite obvious. Even on that track, on that comparison, I think the difference between stereo and mono, you can hear that difference. Overall, in terms of the sound signature of the PL7, it does have more upper bass. And in terms of sound boost mode versus the standard mode, there is more deep bass in standard mode. Sound boost mode pushes the highs and the upper bass, but reduces the deep bass in order to get a bit more volume. For my money, when you volume match, standard mode beats the sound boost mode. But overall, JBL Charge 5 versus PL7 at around 70% volume, I think it's a win for the JBL Charge 5. So, JBL Charge 5 versus the much bigger PN7. Well, let's give it its proper name. The really catchy LG Xboom Go. I don't know why they keep Go, like get out of here, or use it on the move. I don't know why they call it Go, and I don't know why I'm taking 10 minutes to tell you it's called Go. I just find it weird. All the marketing, quite honestly, on a lot of these companies. But the PN7 versus the JBL Charge 5.
And see life do what you want. So give me all the scars, I'm a human being. Cover them with tattoos so you can't see. Knew it from the start, you had problems with me. And the things I could be, I just wish I had seen. I feel this pain, you already know. Turn that to gains, let my money show. I've got these things that I can't let go. Watch me turn this life into something that you can never own. I feel this pain, you already know. Turn that to gains, let my money show. I've got these things that I can't let go. Watch me turn this life into something that you can never own. So fight and die for the things you know you love. Do what you think is right, and see life do what you want. So fight and die for the things you know you love.
JBL Charge 5 versus PN7 standard mode. Standard mode, I think, is more, well, it's a bigger speaker. It sounds bigger, it's more open, it's more sparkly. There's a tad more mid-bass, but overall, I have to say, the bass is quite close between these two speakers. The JBL Charge 5 clearly has more mids, which helps it sound a bit clearer. But I do think overall, I prefer the sound of the PN7, but that's no surprise. Look, it's twice the size of the JBL Charge 5, twice the weight. So, oh, wow, it's a showstopper. Alan Ross Reviews prefers the PN7 in standard mode. Well, come on, it's pretty obvious, but that's a travel speaker. That's not a travel speaker. For me, when you switch to sound boost mode, it drops too much of the deep bass, pushes the upper bass too much, and even more so now, it gives the advantage to the JBL Charge 5 in terms of the deep bass. Yes, the PN7 in sound boost mode is more open, as we already said. It is more sparkly. It's a bigger sound overall. However, I think I still prefer the sound signature with the deeper bass of the JBL Charge 5. And when you switch to DTS mode, they call it Stereo Plus. It's just the audio processing to give more height, more width to the stereo and to bring out the vocals. And that's the point. Remember, DTS mode is not a magic mode to protect the integrity of the original track, but just to make it bigger and wider and more fantastic and more incredible. No, it changed. It's not even pretending. It's telling you it's changing the original track. If that's okay with you, then you may well love the DTS mode. Personally, I find the DTS mode really, really, really nice for 5 to 10 minutes. And then you start hearing all the weird things it's doing with the original track, and you start wanting to hear the original track again, and you turn off DTS mode. However, on these ABs, where you're listening to it for about 30 seconds or a minute, you're going to think, that sounds really good. Of course, it does. It does do what it says it does on the box. You know, there's more width, there's more height. A lot of the instruments are more obvious in DTS mode, but it's destroying the original track. And if your ears are attuned to what the original track or original recording may well sound like, you're going to hear, it's going to annoy you. It's going to annoy the out of you. It does to me. As I said, it sounds really nice for 5 to 10 minutes. On an A-B comparison, when you look at the reviews, it sounds great. But if your ears are anyway attuned to knowing what the real track should sound like, it's going to start annoying. You're just going to hear what is wrong in the track. So that just leaves a maximum volume, 100% volume test, all 3 speakers.
Leaving me on red when my heart was a disaster. Give it up, give it up, give it up, all to you. Give it up, give it up, give it up, all my love. I got a heartbreak, but you love it away. I got a heartbreak, but you love it away. I got a heart, got a your satisfaction. I can't understand why you fell into the dark, but I cling to the attraction. Give it up, give it up, give it up, all my love, all my love. I got a heartbreak, but you love it away. I got a heartbreak, but you love it away. I got when you look into my eyes, say you love
So the loudest is the PN7 in sound boost mode, and it's the loudest by a long way. 2 decibels up on the PN7 in its standard mode, nearly another 2 decibels up again in DTS mode, 5 decibels up on the Charge 5, almost the same for the PL7 in sound boost mode, and bringing up the rear, the PL7 in standard mode. So it's the loudest in sound boost mode, PN7, but we already know sound boost mode boosts the highs, reduces deep bass, which means the most deep bass of all these speakers at maximum volume is the PN7 in standard mode. It's 4 decibels up on the sound boost mode at 50 Hz, and indeed even DTS mode has a bit more bass than sound boost mode. Smaller Charge 5 can hold its own in terms of deep bass against the DTS of the PN7, and has actually got more bass than the sound boost mode of the PN7. Although in terms of overall loudness, sound boost mode on the PL7 can hold its own against Charge 5, which is not a speaker that goes that loud, to be honest. And even then it's doing it by pushing highs. It's 7 decibels down at 50 Hz, and only slightly better, but much quieter, but with a better overall sound signature is the PL7 in standard mode. Near 18 LUFS. That's about 7 decibels quieter than the PN7. If it's all about maximum volume, and which goes the loudest, there's only one winner. Oh, what a shocker! It's the biggest speaker on the table. Of course, bigger drivers can go louder, given the same amplification. It's a win for the PN7 if it's all about loudness. But in terms of, fighting its weight, for the size, the JBL Charge 5 can hold its own in terms of bass. And that's a speaker that doesn't go that loud, actually, if I compare it against a lot of its contemporaries. But against the PL7, against the PN7, you can't match the PN7 in terms of volume. Certainly can match the PL7. Well, we can say it's a win against PL7. And if it's about size versus loudness, it's still a win. But in absolute terms, yes, the PN7 goes loudest. So what's the takeaway from this video, Al? By the way, you don't give us the specs you used to give. I'll just quickly go over all the specs. I've already told you about the power and the weights. Interestingly, the LG PN7, the PL7, they both default to AAC on my Android device. They all do Bluetooth 5, all do stereo pairing, all have USB-C connections. Only the JBL Charge does not have the auxiliary input. I know for a lot of you, that's alone is a deal breaker. So LG, they both have auxiliary input. Can all be used as a power bank, except for the PLs. You would expect the only one. Oh well, definitely that big bugger. The PN7 must do. No, it's the only one that can't be used as a power bank. Can all be used to make phone calls, except for the most expensive one, the JBL Charge 5. We're not going to give you everything you expect for the money, but we will give you a big logo. However, the only one you can drop in the pool and it will float and survive is indeed the JBL Charge 5, because LG Xboom goes. Both of them IPX5, only XP5. I can take that safely to a beach. Lovely, lovely. Can show everybody I've got a huge logo. Look at my logo. And I could drop it in the pool. And I could say, look, that's still working. But if I did that with the Xboom, then I would have to say, I used to have a good speaker, but now it's knackered. In terms of my testing, which one could I use for streaming YouTube? Only the PL7, actually. 60 milliseconds is usable. And come on now, what's the takeaway of this long-winded, as usual, speaker review? We only wanted it to 2 minutes. Alan Ross reviews, yeah. We only needed 2. I know that, but the clue is Alan Ross reviews. I'll do what I want, all right? So you don't have to watch. But if you do watch the whole thing, it means I get at least 3 ads revenue. That's lovely, jubbly. Takeaway of this video is, yes, JBL for once have got it right with the JBL Charge 5. Oh, well, it could have been stereo. Yes, but it's not. It's mono. So as long as you know that's stereo, that's mono. That is a mono speaker. But, for JBL, that's, well, it's 160 quid. Is it good value? No. But is it a reasonable speaker? Yes. You're going to get a lot of enjoyment out of that. Just know that 160 quid, you could get 2 Soundcore Motion Booms. It's going to sound, one motion boom will sound better, and 2 motion booms will sound fantastic to everybody except your neighbours. Hey ho, but I find this a really nice speaker, but it's no secret, is it? It's bigger, it's more open sounding, but it's not as travel friendly. But JBL Charge 5 versus the Xboom Go PL7. In many ways, it's quite close. I'd rather have the JBL Charge 5 because I think it's more rugged. But hey ho, if money is the bottom line, 90 quid, 160, again, two of those, one of those, and stereo separation. So it's not an easy choice. So what was the point of the video then? It's not easy, is it? No, it's not easy. That's life. It's not easy. It's not fair. And who ever said it was going to be that way? I've got to tell you, I've got all these speakers. I'm very lucky. But if you could only buy one of these speakers, I would still say JBL Charge 5 because it kind of is a trade-off for all of the criteria. But there isn't that much difference between the JBL Charge 5 and the PL7, but it goes a little bit louder, goes a little bit deeper. Whether you actually hear that difference in the real world, that's another matter. That's a lot bigger. That's a lot heavier. Does it sound better? Yeah, it sounds more open. Doesn't necessarily actually have much in the way of deeper bass, but it's going to sound bigger. I don't know who your neighbours are. I don't know how tolerant they are. I don't know what your criteria is. But thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.
I ain't about that life. I ain't about that life. Ain't no project wife, got my logic right, guess I'm not your type. I ain't about that life. I ain't about that life. Sorry, ma, I ain't get it right. I'ma just live my life. I ain't about that. I ain't about that life.